incredibly excited to welcome Mr. Bobby Trunzo, the new National Sales Director for Bourbon Lore. Bobby, it's good to have you, my friend.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So we're going to share a little bit around, some of your love and passion for the world of golf, and a little bit around the incredible career that you've had, and then ultimately how you found your way into the Bourbon Lore family. But to give a little bit of background, you're not new to the world of golf. It's something you fell in love with, really, I would say, as a young man.
Yes, indeed. I started playing golf as a teenager just for fun with my dad. Ultimately, it's my dad that got me involved in golf. He would take me out to play and kind of, he'd be playing 18 holes with his friends and I'd ride along and, play one hole or hit a shot here and there. But, as that progressed, I started playing a lot of junior golf and high school golf. And I honestly had, at that stage, no idea that golf was going to be my career and my lane. But it started out just, for fun with my father.
Your high school career counselor didn't identify that in your kind of placement strategy for, post-college, what you're going to do?
No, my advisor was saying that I was, probably going to be a DJ or something completely off kilter. My dad was in real estate, so that was obviously a thought too. But no, it was definitely not golf as a career. But that's inevitably what ended up happening.
I think everyone has certain things that have kind of come into their life that, for a variety of reasons, they've really connected with, either personally or professionally. I'm kind of curious, what was it, that if you think back from a spark, what was it that kind of sparked your connection to golf that really solidified this as something that you were like, I love this?
Yeah, I think, again, I started at the bottom, which a lot of golf professionals do, working in the bag room at a private club in Sacramento, California, while I was going to college, called Del Paso Country Club. And I was, literally working in the bag room, pulling out the clubs and pulling out the carts. And I got a front row seat to watching assistant golf pros at the club and the head golf professional at the club and kind of what their life and their dynamic look like, which of course, golf and playing golf is at the core of why every PGA professional gets into the game and loves the game, but it's also at the forefront of all of that is the people you meet. And I started watching these guys and girls build these relationships, both personally and professionally, playing golf, spending time, and just, fostering their, being custodians of the game to these people, which for me was something that I gravitated towards very early on.
Is there somebody that you think back to that you remember and had like a lore moment with, where you were either inspired or fired up by, early on, that you were, that you met at one of the clubs or one of the courses from a private member that left a big impression on you?
Honestly, there's a long list of people, both from the mentor side for, head professionals that I worked under at, various private clubs in California, in Arizona, that mentored me. And they're very, very, a big part of my story was being mentored by high quality PGA golf professionals. But yes, I met members at all the clubs that I worked at that I would give lessons to and play golf with, and again, become their custodian for the game, which is a big part of what being a golf professional is all about. You want to be their go-to for all things golf. I can think of several members that I ended up developing, again, a professional relationship as the golf pro at the club, but also, doing things outside of the club, traveling with them, eating dinners at their homes and inviting them into my home. That took a liking to me, and obviously I was developing friendships with them, but they were mentoring me. I was seeing titans of industry, and here I am, a young man, kind of moving my way up in golf, being surrounded by some pretty amazing members at these clubs that shaped my professional growth, my personal growth, and for me, again, that's a huge part of why I ended up staying in golf and making it, pretty much my whole career path.
Yeah, when we first met and we started, discussing the world of golf and your story, I really didn't think about like how incredible of an opportunity, especially at a younger age, when you think about the people you're meeting, the time you get to spend with them, probably the, more candid conversations that, come about on the course. And it was really, fascinating to me to kind of hear like it's almost like this secondary education that you could only ever have dreamed of.
Yeah, it's priceless. The education is priceless. That for me, that was very impactful in my life. Again, professionally and personally, just being surrounded by people that had built businesses, literal titans of industry, professional athletes, actors, and prominent people in business that I had a, when you're playing golf with somebody for 4 hours and getting to know them and how they got to where they've gotten to in life and built what they've built. Honestly, there's no book or class that could teach that for me. And I noticed that very, very early on. And I gravitated towards that. And here they are gravitating towards me because I'm, giving them golf lessons and giving their kids golf lessons and, shaping their golf lifestyle, which is, it's an amazing thing about golf that you get to intertwine, my love and passion for golf with, their love and passion for business and what they do. And they come to me for all their golf answers and I come to them for all my life coaching and inspiration, which again, there's no classroom that could teach that.
I'm curious for those of us that maybe haven't had a chance to be in some of these amazing clubs and some of the communities that you've had a chance to be a part of and play at, what's it like at a private club as a professional golf pro?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to work at several of the top private clubs, both here in Arizona and Park City, Utah. And what it's like, it's, look, there's an exclusiveness to it. There's privacy. I never showed who I was building friendships with strangers, but I was, again, rubbing shoulders with titans of industry and professional athletes. And it's a privilege and an honor to work at those top tier exclusive private clubs that they're hard. Those jobs are hard to obtain. They're few and far between, and you have to have a certain pedigree. And for me, I learned that early on that if I want to work at the top clubs, that I have to, get a job at one of the top clubs and kind of work my way up the food chain, so to speak. And, for me, that's kind of what became my goal, is to, spend a few years at a particular club, learn from that golf professional, and then take that to the next club that I went to and take some of what I've learned at each club that I worked at. And at the end of the day, I wanted to put my own spin on it.
Yeah.
So, in 2006, I got my first head professional job at the Estancia Club here in Scottsdale. And that was my first time I had that title. And from there, I just kind of, things kind of progressed. And I was very, very fortunate to work and launch from there, just because of the type of club that Estancia is, the type of membership that it has. And those members, most of them belong to other clubs, whether it's here in Scottsdale, which a lot of them have a secondary membership here in town. A lot of them have a home in Colorado, a home in Minnesota, or Park City, Jackson Hole. And they belong to another club. So if there's their home club in Chicago, for example, is looking for a head pro, oftentimes if I have a relationship with that member, they're putting my name in the hat that goes, instead of it being just another resume in the stack, it's kind of getting into the top five before I've even met, anybody at that club. So that's priceless.
Yeah, I think for many of us that don't live in that world, it's fascinating to kind of think about the power of connection, the power of relationship, and how real that is, and your ability to be able to grow inside of from a business standpoint. A lot of people look at that as a category, an industry, right? And your resume really is truly in the power of your network.
100%. I mean, that's a big part of it's a big part of Bourbon Lore. It's a big part of the golf business, and as a whole, networking is a big part of that. For me, I never wanted to come into a club or come into a company with, at the top of my resume is my network. But inevitably, the people you meet and the connections you make do end up shaping that. But I took a lot of pride, and again, this is learned from mentors in my life, that it has to happen organically. Yeah. And I never wanted to force myself into the purview of a certain member that might do a certain line of work or own a certain business. I wanted it to be very organic and casual, relationship driven, not transactional. And that's just my way. So I was fortunate to, again, meet some great people that opened a lot of doors for me from that network standpoint.
Beautifully said. So for those of us that are maybe not a PGA golf pro and working on our game, or maybe even haven't had a chance to even pick up the game of golf yet, what does it really mean to you on a personal level, playing a good game?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's, score is important. Your playing ability, you have to be able to, part of being a PGA professional, to start the whole, journey of becoming a PGA professional, you have to show a certain level of skill. There's what they call a playing ability test. That's kind of where it starts, and you've got to shoot a certain score and kind of get in the door to be able to start the education process. But after that, it really doesn't end up becoming, sure, being able to play a good game is important to me, and I take a lot of pride in that. And you don't want to be giving these members golf lessons and shooting 100, of course. But, as my career progressed, it didn't really become about what you put on the scorecard. And I really learned early on that at the end of the day, nobody really cares what you shoot. That's kind of a saying in golf these days, nobody cares what you shot. And especially in my last 10 years of my career, it's become more about who I'm doing it with and where I'm doing it. But again, golf is a fabric of my entire, my childhood, just for fun and getting engaged in it that way, from my father to doing it as a career and professionally. I felt like, I owe a lot to the game of golf. I wouldn't be here with you today if I wasn't a golf professional through our mutual friend that connected us. And that's true for my wife. I would have not met if it weren't for golf. My closest friends are all because of golf. It's the ultimate connector for me.
Is there a club or two that stand out to you over the years that you've played where maybe some of those memories, some of those experiences stand out in an extraordinary way, where you're like, that was my perfect day or my perfect game?
No doubt about it. I have a list. I have a bucket list that I still need to check off of places that I want to play, but I've been very fortunate to travel to a lot of great places, from the Hamptons to Chicago to California to Arizona to Park City, Jackson Hole. But beyond a shadow of doubt, the number one venue that I played, the most memorable experience with the group I played was at a club called Shore Acres in Chicago, which it's a very special place. It's walking only. There's not a golf cart on property. It's an amazing walk, and that's a big part of golf for me is the walk and spending 3 to 4 hours with one or two or three other individuals where the rest of the world goes quiet. So Shore Acres, Chicago Golf Club. I'm in love with all things Chicago. They have some steep history and tradition with golf. But look, I've played a lot of great places in California. Arizona is loaded with great clubs. But I would say Shore Acres in Chicago for me is number one on my list.
What's on the bucket list that you haven't played yet?
Yeah, bucket list for me would be a place like Shinnecock in the Hamptons, a place like San Francisco Golf Club is on my bucket list. Obviously, probably at the top of the bucket list is Augusta National. That's kind of the holy grail, as I think even non-golfers know. Augusta National is the holy grail. But it's funny. My bucket list, for me, I could go play Papago here locally, or I could go play Whisper Rock here locally and have the same type of experience and the same type of day. Sure. Do I love the conditions and the lore of private golf? Yes. I'm enamored with it, but I'm also, I love to. I'll play anywhere. To be honest with you, if I'm with it's about the people I'm doing it with and the time that I get to spend with those people. But yeah, the bucket list, Augusta. There's a new place in Georgia called Ohoopee. That's kind of coming on the scene. It's definitely on my bucket list. But for me, if I don't check those off, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it if they happen. Cypress Point in Northern California is also at the in the top 5 of where I would like to check off. If they happen organically, great. It's not something I'm forcing to try to have happen.
When you think about when you first came into the world of golf, How has it changed, or how has it evolved to where it is today?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's changed a lot. I think, 10, 20 years ago and beyond, it was very, there's some men-only clubs. There's still a few out there that exist, but I think the growth of the game, that's a big part of what the PGA has been doing over the last 5 to 10 years, is grow the game. That's their slogan. Let's grow the game. And there's several ways that they're doing that. Those are things that have really changed in golf. There's more women playing golf these days. There's more kids playing golf these days. There's certain clubs where your shirt has to be tucked in and your hat has to be taken off. And there's some of the best clubs in the world where you can play in board shorts and a t-shirt. So the whole thing is that I've seen massively change is just it's more inclusive now than ever. If they're going the way they were going years and years and years ago with making sure certain people didn't get involved in golf because they didn't look a certain way or they weren't a certain age or a certain gender, whereas now the PGA has really put their arms around making it more inclusive, bringing in the youth because they are the future of the game, and bringing in men, women of all ages and backgrounds. But that also ties to why some of these private clubs are so exclusive and so amazing, is that, they exist and they're there and they're not for everybody. But there's also a lot of other great private clubs, and also there's a lot of great public golf that are available for kids without the means necessary, because it's become a very expensive sport. These private clubs are very expensive. Even if you have all the money in the world, some of them you still can't get in. So it's really changed in a way that there's something for everybody, and they really want to be more inclusive to grow the game. So, and I try to support that as best I can. That's what I mean by I'll play with anybody, is that if I'm only saying I'll play with people that are a certain handicap or below or a certain age, or if they're just like me, then that's not being a good custodian of the game.
In the world of American whiskey, there's a level of, I would say, art and science to curating something truly extraordinary when it comes to an amazing, unique expression. How much of the game for you is art versus science? And, I'm curious, as somebody who's played as much golf as you have, is there some sort of key to success that you have found over the years?
It took me a long time because for the longest time, it was all about shooting a certain score or below. And if I didn't, it would really affect me. It would affect my mood. If I played bad, I would be in a, kind of a crummy mood. If I played good, everything's great. And I lived that way for a long time. I took a lot of pride in my score. And I think, again, over the last 10-ish years, I've really changed in a way that score is important. Playing well is fun, and it does make it more fun when you make more birdies. And, I've been fortunate to have 4 hole-in-ones in my career. But the science, I think, today, if I would tell anybody, that was interested in golf or getting into golf, is don't take it too seriously. Have some fun with it. Get your friends involved. Again, that's a big part of what the PGA is doing these days, is in the growth of the game, you gotta kind of let your hair down a little bit and not take it too seriously. It's easier said than done. But the secret to golf is to care, but just not too much.
So let's go back to those 4 hole-in-ones. Is there one that stands out to you that you think, wow, what a legendary moment for me?
They're all pretty important to me. My first one, I was 15 years old. I was playing Davis Municipal Golf Course in Davis, California. At that time, it's like $15 to play there, and it was just me and my dad. I was 15 years old. That one, it's my first one. It's very important, and it was kind of a cool moment. I'm with my dad and the group up on the screen on the par 3. There was a foursome on the green. Part of that foursome was the golf pro from the club, and we were a twosome. So they waved us up. They stepped aside, so they're standing to the side of the green.
Which is always a little intimidating.
Yeah, and I'm 15, and I've got a little bit of skills. I was a baseball player primarily growing up, but I've got some athletic ability, but I was by no means a scratch golfer at that time. So they pull aside and they wave us up, and I stand up there. It's a I was 15 years old, so it's like 170 yards. I hit a 5-iron and knocked it in, and they're on the green going crazy. The really cool part, my dad steps up next and hits it to like this and almost put it right on top of me, which that would have been a very legendary moment. But I would say that one, is very impactful, being with my father. But my last one is very, very special to me. It was at Park Meadows Country Club in Park City, Utah, where I was the head golf professional for 7 years. And I was with some of the assistant pros that worked for me and with me and were part of my golf family, and some of whom I was mentoring. And we were just out in the afternoon after a long day, just getting a few holes in, and I knocked it in. Keep in mind, we're in Park City, so there's 7,000 feet. It was 210 yards. I hit a 7-iron into the hole, and a little wind behind us, but shared a moment with my dad on the first one, shared a moment on the tail end, my last one, with some friends at the club that I was the pro at. So it's pretty cool.
It's incredible
to be the pro there, and it becomes the talk of the club. If a member has one, if anybody has a hole-in-one, it's the talk of the club for the next few days. But to be the pro there, and it was really special to me. And but there's a lot of people that play their whole golf life without one, that are very skilled and have all the ability to have them. They're pretty rare.
Yeah. Well, on that, that aspect of creating these unique opportunities where these experiences turn into a defining moment, and that defining moment turns into hopefully a memory, and a memory that lasts a lifetime, where you get to share in that joy and share in that gift. I think that's a lot of what you and I connected on.
Sure.
Right. So when we think about what we're building with Bourbon Lore, and when we had the opportunity to, officially meet here back in December, I felt like we both really resonated in this aspect of, life for both of us truly is around experiential. And, I've been blessed and fortunate to have an amazing professional career, but really what I'm still seeking in my, my journey is to write some new chapters of lore, so to speak. Sure. And so for yourself, I'm kind of curious, maybe share a little bit around, you're now part of the Bourbon Lore family. You're leading up our national sales strategy for the U.S. What does that mean to you at this chapter of your own journey, your own legacy, and why Bourbon Lore?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a different lane for me, but at the same time, it's also a very similar lane. It's people, it's relationships, it's experientials. I think you and I were kind of intersected through a mutual friend that it was very organic. I felt, it wasn't forced. I got invited to one of the great dinners that you were putting on and the team was putting on. And I really kind of just that night I took it all in and was watching kind of the bourbon, the lore unfold and the storytelling unfold. And I started just kind of daydreaming as you were, running that activation. And I just was like, it was honestly like a situation where I was envisioning myself working for Bourbon Lore in a weird way, which is obviously pretty presumptuous, but I was immediately drawn into the concept, the brand, not for what's in the glass. I myself as a non-drinker, as ironic as that is. But again, for me, why Bourbon Lore for me is a chance to work with, very inspirational and leader in yourself and the team that you're building. I'm excited about that. And just, again, life for me is all about the people you meet and the relationships you make and the conversations you have with people that carry days and weeks and years on end after you first meet people, and you're fostering current friendships and you're making new friendships. And, it all comes back to the people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I would also say, I really connected with you on the fact that you live your life as, what I always like to say, as an enthusiast, meaning, there's things that you're deeply passionate about. You really lean into those passions personally, professionally, financially. And third, you share those passions with those you meet because they bring you joy.
Sure.
And you want to be able to bring that same joy and that same gift to those that you run into and meet. And so I felt like there was immediate synergy between the two of us of how can we complement one another and amplify this ability to bring that joy of experiential, the history and heritage of this extraordinary craft, but to be able to bring together a community of new friends around the United States.
Sure.
So I'm fired up. I'm grateful that you're part of the team. Why don't you maybe give a little bit of background, because we've had a pretty busy first onboard.
Yes, we have.
We were just talking about it. Seems like, it's been 6 months, and it's really it's only been
3 weeks.
a month. So maybe take us and share a little bit around what you've seen firsthand for those that haven't had an opportunity to be a part of a Bourbon Lore experience yet, with what we did at Sundance, and maybe what we were up to even this week down in Tucson at Dove Mountain at the Ritz-Carlton, or even here last night in Scottsdale, and yesterday actually at the Open.
It's been a fast and furious couple of weeks. We started with heading up to Park City for the beast that is Sundance Film Festival. As you saw, the last Sundance Film Festival in Park City, and obviously Park City, as Jackson is for you, Park City is near and dear to me. But Sundance was amazing. We had, a few nights at Relevant Art Gallery, David Yarrow evening, which
it's incredible.
Again, just
he's extraordinary.
Getting to hear him talk was priceless, and getting to be with the team on site at an event like that was really special. Kind of weaved into our couple days up there. We met some incredible people at Tag Ranch and Blue Sky Lodge, and I think we came in there kind of quietly.
Yeah.
And we left there with a splash and making some great friendships at private clubs that we went and visited, like Glen Wild and Park Meadows, Promontory, Victory Ranch. It was great. A busy couple days, but a fun couple days. From there, we kind of came, from suitcase to suitcase and on to Tucson, and a couple days, great days down at the Ritz-Carlton with the YPO group. And, again, it's about experiences. I mean, the connection hike we did with the group down there, those are just conversations you don't just have every day. They're special and they carry. So it was a great couple days meeting your granny and Cowboy Rex. I got my first cowboy hat.
Yeah, that's right. I took Bobby to where essentially it's a shout out to Arizona Hatters in Tucson, Arizona. They like to say they're the world's ultimate cowboy hat shop, a place that I've grown up going to since I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. My dad bought me my first Stetson there. So told Bobby, I was like, get ready to be inducted in the Bourbon Lore Hall of Fame with your own Stetson.
Yeah, you told me to go in there and find what speaks to me, and I'm pretty sure the one that spoke to me was one of the higher priced ones up there. Which I didn't realize that until we were at the checkout process, but thank you, and I'm grateful.
Of course.
But great couple days in Tucson, and then we came right back up here to Scottsdale in 80 degrees and the Phoenix Open and the greatest show on grass. And we had a great day doing the speakeasy with the team at Brown Forman and Jack Daniels, which was, again, it's like one cool experience after another. As Damien said, we do really cool stuff, and I'm excited to be on board and a part of that journey, and looking forward to helping it grow and scale. And again, doing that not in a transactional dynamic, in a very relationship-based, trust-based, friendly manner that doesn't feel rushed or forced. It's, again, it's all just through trust and building respect and rapport with people.
Well, I appreciate you, and you have an amazing teammate with your wife Meredith, and I know that Ashley and I are very grateful to have both of you as part of our Bourbon Lore family. I'm kind of I haven't asked you this question yet, but I've thought about it and wondered, if we come back to the world of golf that you've known and loved for almost your entire life, is there a player, either past or present, that is the ultimate player that you would love to meet or respect and appreciate and admire more than anyone else?
Absolutely. Obviously, it's hard to pick one because there's so many greats. And, I grew up in the Tiger Woods era.
Yeah.
We're the same exact age.
Similar golf game?
Very, very similar. Very similar. Very, very similar. No, for me, it's Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer.
Who's no longer with us, obviously, but he was the epitome of respect and class and grace, and he prided himself on looking people in the eye and shaking hands and signing that last autograph, even after hours and hours and hours after each round of these tournaments. But he's highly regarded. I respect the heck out of him, and even people that don't know too much about golf know know Arnie and what he stood for. And If I could, even in an iota, present myself like Arnold Palmer did, then I think I'd be doing something right.
Beautifully said, brother. Well, if you could leave our audience with one last thought around what you are most fired up and excited about as our new national sales director for Bourbon Lore for 2026,
Sure.
what would that be?
The biggest thing that I'm fired up about, Mason, is the opportunity to work for a very integrity-driven individual like yourself, and the staff that you've built, and growing as a family, and helping you take this thing to what your vision is. And I want to do it the right way. And I think if I follow your footsteps, we'll be in good shape.
I'm honored, brother. Well, cheers to you and Meredith.
Thank
I'm
you.
grateful to have you on the team.
Thank
Thank you for joining me here today here in Scottsdale for this.
Thank you.
Cheers to our Bourbon Lore family, and thank you, Bobby Trunzo, to join us as our new national sales director.
Thank you.